Wow, my own TV segment. Hi, I'm so privileged to have this opportunity to speak to you, my fellow citizens. It's something I've wanted. And I have 5 minutes on each show, and I want to use them specifically to help make a better world. So, this first segment, I'm going to try to tell you why. Why would I take time out of my busy life to come to you in the television world? Well, to tell you the truth, I'm here to make a public health alert. I am a family doctor, and I've studied the world's health as much as I've studied the individual's health, and we need a massive effort to make a world where we love everybody and that we all work together to clean up the human and natural messes that we've made in the world. The scientific community clearly is indicating that if we don't do this, we will probably be extinct this century. You see, we've got this value system right now globally that's based on greed and power over. And one of my favorite science writers today, E.O. Wilson out of Harvard, has just published his second book indicating that we're going to be extinct this century. And even more tragically, he's showing us that we will be making a huge number, unprecedented number of plants and animals also extinct. And these are not pessimistic, apocalyptic announcements. This is simply reporting to you from the intelligence of the animal and plant world. In the same way, when you come to me as a family doctor and you have a sore throat, I do a throat culture and it's positive for strep throat. I give you penicillin and tell you that you want to take it correctly to prevent rheumatic heart disease. That's not a pessimistic statement. I'm reporting. And that's the same feeling, is not to have you feel bad that we are possibly going to be extinct, but to get excited that you can be an instrument to change that. I mean, let's look at our world here for a moment. We live in a world where the starvation of 25 to 35,000 children dying a day of starvation is not as interesting as a sports event or something in pop culture, a musical or television show. And it's actually a trick that those things are more interesting than the problems of global warming and these kinds of things. So I'm partly here, part of my why is to help let you know that we are in peril and that you are needed. You, whoever is listening, we need a massive uprising of the people to say, let's have another value system. Let's have this value system be based on compassion and generosity, that our success will not be in how much money or power we have, but in how delightfully we can spend our life in loving people and being generous. So another why, a second why, is that we actually know the answer. We don't have to go, ooh, what are the answers? We've never had a peaceful world. We've never had a world that has cared about all of its people. So it must be very difficult. But truth be known, the answers are that all of the problems of the world's solutions are nested in loving. Were we to love everybody and to love our nature, there is enough food to feed everybody. There are solutions to every problem except what to do with nuclear waste, and we could find solutions to those problems. It's just that they are not yet interesting. And I'm here to make them interesting. I want a revolution for loving. And a third reason for me to be here is that it's not too late. However dramatic the sense of our impending extinction is, in all of my study, which is vast, I don't think it's too late. And one of the reasons I'm a very energetic man of 61 is that I find that as I work every day for peace and justice and care for everybody, I don't mean that there's a nationality attached to it or a religion or a race, but the truth is I've gone all over the world. I've clowned in over 60 countries, and everywhere people are beautiful. Everywhere when I see poverty, I know if we just change a little thing here over to here, it can make it so these problems are ended. And so it's an invitation, yes, to come into this world of loving. And in the course of this, of my segment of this show, you will be excited actually at how easy it is to be proactive in loving. And I want to say, let's work together. Let's love. And the what really is I suppose I could say I want a loving revolution. I want to help midwife a loving world. Oh, by that I mean a world without violence, without injustice, where our value system, as I said, is based on compassion and generosity, nested in the care of all people and our nature. And I want to tell you something about myself. All of my life, I've been a voracious interviewer of people. My interviews with patients were 4 hours long for the initial interview. And for the last 23 years, I've been going all over the world and talking with audiences. And they've agreed with me, both individually and in groups, that the most important thing in life is loving. That is clearly the vast majority of people, that loving is the most important thing in life. And yet, here two very strange things. Because it is the most important thing in life, I assumed that everyone would have a well-thought-out, articulate expression of their philosophy of loving. It's the most important thing in life. And people can talk forever about their favorite sports team. And so I would imagine for the most important thing in life, every person would have a thought-out philosophy of loving and a plan to carry it out. So I asked every patient in 40 years, what is your philosophy of loving and how do you carry it out? And never once in all of that time was someone ready to articulate their philosophy of loving and how they carry it out. In fact, most men said, what do you mean? Wow. Okay, so, and where do we learn things? We learn things in school. Most important thing in life is loving. And you think K through 12, 13 years, we have 5 hours a week for 13 years of math and science and history and language, none of which are the most important things in life. And so for 23 years, I've asked all over the world, and I have not found one public school in the world that in 13 years teaches 1 hour and all of that time on the most important thing in life, loving. So we think that the most important thing in life is loving, and yet we don't think about it and we don't teach it in our schools. Is this strange to you as it is to me? So what my segment is about is to try to make loving a thoughtful inquiry and a plan to do loving. And so you will get hints, you will have suggestions to do, and think about this. I think one of the reasons that we have not made loving thoughtful or something we teach in school is that we actually think loving is a feeling. And when we're feeling good or something, we might be feeling love for a family member. But I'm here about talking about thoughtful loving, that we have thoughts on its value and thoughts on how to be loving for other people. Are you ready? Show you how I've addressed loving as an issue by looking at our healthcare delivery model. When I was in medical school 40 years ago, I was really concerned that we did not care for everybody, and even within the very expensive care system we have, that it didn't look like doctors and nurses were having fun. There was a lot of burnout, and Patients were often unsatisfied with a lack of compassion, and truth be known, not a single medical school in the world teaches compassion. So I want to tell you about our medical project. I entered medical school almost 40 years ago to use medicine as a vehicle for social change. And so I spent my medical school life studying healthcare delivery systems. I wanted at the end of medical school to create a model hospital that addressed every single problem of the way care is delivered. So in 1971, I started the Gesundheit Institute, and for 12 years we ran a pilot project where we never charged money for our care, because clearly healthcare delivery should be free for all people. And we wanted to eliminate the idea of debt in the medical interaction. We didn't want people to feel they owed something. We wanted them to be excited that they belonged to something called community. And so we never accepted health insurance because there's a lot of controls insurance companies like to have on the way care is delivered. We never had anything to do with malpractice insurance because we would not practice in fear and mistrust. We wanted to love our patients. Our ideal patient was somebody who wanted to be a deep personal friend with us. We liked the context of friendship. And as a family doctor, I knew I needed to know our patients, and so an initial interview with a patient was 4 hours long, very intense. I insisted that I went to their home because I wanted to be their friend. I wanted to know them the best I possibly could, to make suggestions specific to them. And in spending this kind of time with patients, I found out that the vast majority of people in this country really did not know a day-to-day vitality for life. And that's why we did a large communal farm context for our hospital to integrate medicine with performing arts and crafts and agriculture and nature, education, recreation, and social service as a context for helping people's vitality for life to flower. And I wanted a medical staff that was happy, funny, loving, cooperative, creative, and thoughtful as, again, a context to do healing in. And we've been the only medical project to integrate all the healing arts because we felt all of the people who are out there helping people could work together. And we insisted on a connection between the health of the individual and family and the health of society and community. So for us, it was as interesting for us to know health systems as it was to know political and economic and social and environmental systems, because these affected people's health. And kind of the clincher to prevent burnout and to make it all fun for us was we created the first silly hospital in history. We did this project for 12 years. We saw 15,000 people, and it was a heavenly thing. And ever since then, we have been trying to raise the funds to build our ultimate fantasy hospital, where every staff person would work a 50 to 60-hour week for $300 a month. Thousands of doctors and nurses apply to work in this kind of context for the privilege to practice medicine exactly as they ever dreamed. And this one, I want to say something about our clown work. You see, after 12 years of doing the medical work that we did, there wasn't any support for us to build our hospital, and so we stopped seeing patients, and we're not seeing them now, to devote our time to raising the funds to build our fantasy hospital. And we wondered, what do we do with our time in addition to fundraising? And so I said, let's go love the world. So we thought, who was our enemy? And at the time it was the Soviet Union. So let's go love the Russian people. We knew that would be easy. So now for 23 years we have taken clown groups every November to Russia to clown 10 to 16 hours a day in hospitals and orphanages and prisons and nursing homes. And that led to us doing very extensive work with the orphans there, because we were so unhappy with the way the orphans were taken care of. And then we said, let's take clowns into war. And now we've taken clowns into war 3 times. The latest one being in Afghanistan when the war started there in March of '02. And we've taken clowns to refugee camps all over the world. I estimate that I've clowned at maybe 10,000 deathbeds. I go with my children and my brother and close friends, and we bring random people, not people who know clowning, but people who want to go and spend loving time with the tragic parts of the world. And anyone can do it. We don't screen people. For us, clowning is a trick to get love close. And that led over time to us starting to take supplies. When we went to Afghanistan, we took 10 tons of medical and food to the people there, and found out that the pediatric hospital had no food and medicine. So we later took 30 tons of food. And one of the exciting things in the last year is we started to build clinics and schools and to embed ourselves into the poverty of the world to see how can we inexpensively really help people end their hunger and to be proactive themselves in caring for everybody. So if you want to be a clown, just, really for me, when I teach clowning, it means a twinkle in the eye, twinkle, 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 smile on the face, willingness to greet. So you can turn off your TV and go out to the world and just love people by being friendly. It's not a skill of juggling and unicycling. Those are little tricks. The big tricks are being proactive with your smile and your twinkly eyes.
I'd like for you to answer a question in the camera.
Yes.
You like to be I like to be a clown because...
Well, let me tell you something about clowning. It's a very interesting public health thing. I experience a very profoundly serious and unhappy society in the wealthiest nation in the world. So many of our people are on psychiatric medication, and it almost feels as if people are depressed by choice. So I'm out there publicly clowning every day wherever I am to try to put joy in the public space. And there's another interesting thing. Whenever I see violence in public between a parent and child, or I see some kind of seriousness, I can change into my clown character. And for over 30 years, it stopped all the violence 100% of the time. So there's a public health gesture. I also like to be naughty. I like to have fun. I feel that life is to be lived, and that clowning, there's something about this hierarchy and rank that exists in our society in power and money that makes a lot of difficulty in being ready to connect with all people. And what clowning does is that it's a diminisher of rank and hierarchy, and so it's a great equalizer. What are the possibilities? What are the possibilities? Well, with a computer, with chat rooms, with websites, the possibilities are